Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about multiple choice questions on various plant tissues. In the concept we discussed what is a tissue right from the basics of tissues. What is a tissue? What does it do? And also various types of tissues and their functions. Classification of tissues. Meristematic tissues on one side and permanent tissues on other side we have discussed, and also in permanent tissues different types, that is simple tissues, complex tissues, and also some special secretory tissues. All these we have finished, and now we are going to answer some multiple choice questions. Let's start the first question. That is, meristematic tissue in plants are, they are, no doubt meristematic tissues are dividing tissues. They are localized and permanent, no, they are dividing tissues. Not limited to certain region, no, they are limited to certain regions like growing apices. Localized and dividing cells, growing in volume. They are localized and dividing cells because they are dividing, no doubt, but they are localized. That means their location is specific, like at the apical regions, root apex and shoot apex. In the lateral region, lateral meristems are there. In the intercalary position between the nodes, there is intercalary meristem. That is why we say that meristematic tissue is localized and dividing in nature. Types of meristematic tissues present at the shoot apex, and it can be found at the leaf apices of developing leaves. It is not the intercalary meristem, it is not the lateral meristem, it is the apical meristem present at the shoot apex. Apex, no doubt, if we say that apex, it is present at the tip of the stem tip. Stem tip lo undi ante root lo kuda undi, that is apical meristem. What is a type of meristematic tissue which remain embedded with the permanent tissue mainly between two nodes? Two nodes annamante, if whenever we say that in between two, then we can say that we can answer it as inter, in between, inter. Here inter is coming in this option, intercalary meristem. This is present between two permanent meristems. Intercalary meristem is the meristem that is present between two permanent tissues. At the nodal region between two nodes, it helps in lengthening of the long size of the plant stem, like bamboo. It increases the internodal length. Internodal length ఎక్కువైందంటే plant height కూడా పెరుగుతుంది కదా. Which of the following part of meristematic tissue forms primary meristem? It is the promeristem. It forms the primary meristem. It is the outermost layer of meristematic tissue where radial divisions forms epidermal tissue in root, protoderm. Not only in root, even in stem, radial divisions occur in the protoderm. Protoderm gives rise to the epidermis part of the organ. The secondary meristem origin of meristematic tissue found in vascular region in the form of, that is in the vascular region they are saying, that is the secondary meristem origin meristematic tissue found in vascular region. So they are asking about the vascular region. This is outside the vascular region, cork, all these are outside. It is the interfascicular cambium. It is the interfascicular cambium between the cambia The permanent tissue, once again it undergoes differentiation and it again regains the property of division, de-differentiate. That is the interfascicular cambium. Most conspicuous annual rings are formed in, these are formed in temperate deciduous plants. Temperate deciduous అంటే ఆకులు రాలుస్తాయి, ఆకులు. There are sharp seasonal variations, sharp seasonal fluctuations and differences in these temporal deciduous regions. In this areas where the plants possess, they are present in a region where sharp climatic differences are there. One is spring and one is the autumn, like that. They possess sharp annual rings. These are most conspicuous annual rings are observed in temperate deciduous regions. Temperate deciduous regions lo perige mokkalki, they shed the leaves during autumn and they produce new and more number of leaves in the spring. The variation between these two is very sharp. The difference between these two seasons is very sharp. That is why they produce the two different woods in two different seasons, and both the autumn wood as well as the spring wood both comprises a single annual ring. This is seen in temperate deciduous plants. Which of the following provide maximum mechanical strength to a tree trunk? Maximum it is produced by the heartwood. Youngest layer of secondary xylem is located in, youngest layer ante, for example, this is the cambium. This gives rise to a phloem outside and xylem inside. Youngest means the tissue that is exactly beneath the or exactly adjacent to the dividing tissue, that is the xylem. Secondary xylem, because the primary xylem pushed towards down, so secondary xylem is the answer. It is just youngest layer of secondary xylem is located just beneath the dividing, that is cambium, just outside, not outside, just inside the cambium, because outside phloem is produced. Phloem is giving rise, it is given by the cambium. Diffuse porous woods are characteristic of plants growing in. Diffused porous woods, these are tropics. The plants that grow in tropical regions, they possess diffuse porous woods. Diffuse porous woods means, porous wood means presence of tylosis, large vessels and tylosis. These large vessels, they are like pores, they look like pores. This kind of porous wood, the pores, that the xylem vessels are scattered, diffused, that is why it is called diffused porous wood, and it is the characteristic feature of the plants that grow in tropics. Inner bark composed of secondary phloem, because bark anagane cork plus secondary phloem. కార్క్ ప్లస్ సెకండరీ ఫ్లోయంని బార్క్ అంటాము. కార్క్లో కార్క్ అనకూడదు, యాక్చువల్లీ పెరిడర్మ్ అనాలి. పెరిడర్మ్ ప్లస్ సెకండరీ ఫ్లోయం అనాలి. పెరిడర్మ్లో 3 లేయర్స్ ఉంటాయి, కార్క్, కార్క్ కేంబియం అండ్ సెకండరీ కార్టెక్స్, ఫెల్లం, ఫెల్లోజెన్, ఫెల్లోడర్మ్. Cork cambium and secondary cortex, these 3 together constitute the periderm, and behind the periderm, below the periderm, there is secondary phloem. All these 4 layers, cork cambium, secondary cortex and secondary phloem, all these four tissues, all these four layers together, they constitute the bark. So inner bark composed of inner layers right from out to in. First one is the cork, very outside, very extremely out. Cork followed by the second layer is cork cambium, second layer of the bark. Third layer of the bark is secondary cortex, and fourth layer is secondary phloem. Okay, among these the last one is the secondary phloem. Stem of the date palm increases in girth due to the activity of lateral meristem. Okay dear students, with this we have finished the student illustration part of this section, and in the next session I'll come with more and more number of multiple choice questions. Stay back. All the best.